All right, what's good, YouTube? Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast talking Auburn football. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. As always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. Of course, everybody was at the edge of their seats last night for the college football playoff ranking to roll out. Especially, they wanted to see who the top 4 teams were. They wanted to see who the possible party crashers were going to be. And sure enough, this particular playoff poll has LSU as the obvious number 1, taking on Alabama in Tuscaloosa, knocking those guys off at home. And if you go anywhere on the media, you will hear that the score was a lot closer. I mean, the score was a lot further than the actual score would indicate. LSU winds up winning that game 46-41 in a shootout, which turned out to be a shootout. Later on, LSU was up by as much as 20 points right before halftime. Alabama giving up 2 touchdowns within like 3 or 4 minutes. Very uncharacteristic of Alabama, hence them dropping out of the top 4. So if you look at this, you have LSU at number 1. You have Ohio State at number 2. And then you have Clemson at number 3. And then you got Georgia at number 4. So if all of this was said and done, you would have LSU actually playing Georgia, which would probably be a rematch of the SEC championship game if this thing was to be done today. But there's a lot of debate as to whether Georgia should even have that number 4 spot. Now, you can't take away from the fact that, yes, they did beat Notre Dame and they did beat Florida. But the committee seems to be kind of sugarcoating the loss to South Carolina. They also may be sugarcoating the 27-0 win over Missouri, but really wasn't all that, just all that impressive. I'm going to give you the box score of that particular game, but there were a lot of field goals in that game. There were a lot of miscues in that game. There was not a lot of dominance in that particular game between Missouri and Georgia, so I just don't understand. Not that Georgia is not a good football team, because they play very well on defense. In my opinion, they have one of the best defenses in the country. They have one of the best rosters on defense in the country that I'm like crazy impressed with. You talk about J.R. Reed. J.R. Reed is one of the best safeties in the country. And then you look at their interior linemen. You got guys like Walter Grant. You got David Marshall, Michael Barnett. And then they bring this real big dude off the sideline, Jordan Davis, who actually reminds me of Jordan Scott from Oregon. I think he might be a little bit more athletic than Jordan Scott. But these guys are really good on defense. Malik Herring, actually at that defensive end, does a very good job. Azeez Olari, man, I really like him at that jack linebacker. This kid is really good. The only issue that I have with Georgia at this point, with being the number 4 team in the country, is I'm not sure of the whole battle-tested nature of the Georgia Bulldogs. Very talented. I think this weekend against Auburn, the number 12 ranked team in the college football playoff, is going to pose some level of challenge to solidify whether Georgia is that number 4 team. One, they're playing Auburn at home. Auburn plays particularly well at home. As a matter of fact, the stats for Bo Nix is staggering at home compared to when he's not at Jordan-Hare. I mean, the completion percentage is better. The overall yardage is better. His confidence and demeanor is a lot better. One thing the offense has to do is make sure they don't get all those miscues that they've had in past times. Then they might be all right. But back to Georgia. Can the real Georgia offense stand up? I think these guys are good. You talk about having DeAndre Swift on your team. You also have, Jake Fromm as a quarterback who's looking to see whether his NFL stock is even going to be worthy of him leaving early. And then you got George Pickens. You have Lawrence Cager, who might be injured this particular weekend. Matt Sanders, very inexperienced, in my opinion, at the skill position set, especially as the wide receivers go. And they haven't been able to do what they like to do, and that's run the ball, especially with 2 guys. But their offensive line guys are really going to be a huge challenge for the Auburn Tigers. And whether they can block Derrick Brown, Marlon Davidson, Tyrone Truesdale, and Corners Miller is going to be a huge question in this particular football game. But does Georgia deserve to be number 4, though? I'm talking about with all that you've seen from their body of work all year. Where's that number 4 ranking coming from? When you got guys like Georgia, you got Alabama, we're not talking about them. Minnesota, in an epic jump, 9 points because of the win over Penn State. Should they have been the top 4? I think that would have made the committee a little bit uncomfortable to make a decision like that. I think it would have gone against their somewhat conservative nature. Because, see, the committee can't be lazy about this any longer. Notre Dame is not there to help them out with the easy schedule and the undefeated season, but we love them because they're Notre Dame. Then the whole conference things is starting to shake up because you got one-loss teams who are going to win conferences this year. So the committee just can't be lazy this year, and I think that's the reasoning behind this shaky selection process. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We got to get through this weekend and then see what happens next Tuesday, because this selection is just absolutely lazy in my opinion. But I understand. You want to keep things as close to in the road as possible. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. As always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.